Mitsubishi Weapons Sumiyoshi Tunnel Factory. Mitsubishi Weapons Sumiyoshi Tunnel Factory was constructed to evacuate machines from Mitsubishi Weapons Ohashi plant to avoid air raids. They were 300-meter long, 3-meter high, and 4.5-meter wide. Mitsubishi Weapons Sumiyoshi Tunnel Factory had 6 tunnels which ran from west to east. The southernmost and the second had been completed, and girls were building torpedoes in there. The third and fourth were completed, and machines were being moved in from Mitsubishi Weapons Ohashi plant. The fifth and the sixth were still under construction. About 1,000 Korean workers were still digging these tunnels. As these tunnels were lined up from west to east, all girls and their teachers survived the atomic bomb blast, which ran from south to north. Mitsubishi Weapons Sumiyoshi Girls Dormitory. Mitsubishi Weapons Sumiyoshi Girls Dorm had many casualties instead. Mobilized high school girls were fast asleep in the dorm after night shift of Mitsubishi Weapons Ohashi plant and tunnel plant. The dorms were 2 kilometers to the north of the blast center and were relatively far. However, the atomic bomb caused the fire, and many girls were found dead at the bottom of the staircases. Mitsubishi Weapons Saigo Dormitory. Mitsubishi Weapons Saigo Dorm was 1.5 kilometers to the northwest of the blast center. It was a boys' dorm, and many died while fast asleep after night shift. However, unlike girls' dorm, some jumped out of the second floor and survived the ensuing fire, although they broke bones. Students' mobilization. As for students' mobilization, Japanese Wikipedia explains, since 1943, Japan mobilized middle school or older students for military and food production to make up labor shortage. On the 18th March 1945, Japanese cabinet decided to suspend education for 1 year from April for middle school or older students in order to mobilize them for the decisive battle. Volunteer Fighting Corps. Let's listen to Japanese Wikipedia. Allied invasion on Japanese mainland was imminent in the last stage of the Pacific War. In order to cope with this crisis, decisive battle of mainland, this law expands the conscription scope to form 100 million troops under direct emperor's order and make the whole nation as a military organization. It was a realization of 100 million suicide attacks slogan by Koiso cabinet. The law was enacted on 23 June 1945. Article 2 stipulates that men between 15 to 60 and women between 17 to 40 owe voluntary military duty and can be enrolled into fighting corps as necessary. Voluntary military duty is the duty of the emperor's subjects, Article 1, and evaders face imprisonment by the Article 7. From this point of view, this is a conscription and not voluntary fighting corps based on free will. Now you may wonder what the line "can be enrolled into fighting corps as necessary" means. We will explain. When Japan knows where the Americans will land by their submarine network, Imperial Japanese Army ordered militias of the area to suspend production activities and gather in cave bases and come under professional Imperial Japanese Army control. This is when the militias are enrolled into fighting corps. Militias change their tools from screwdrivers to rifles.